Arctic News, Saturday, November 12, 2022. There is no carbon budget. Sam Carana, there is no carbon budget. In the above image, the atmosphere is presented as a bucket filling with greenhouse gas pollution from fossil fuel use from 1870 to 2020. The image depicts the idea that there is some carbon budget left before 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial will be reached. The Global Carbon Project has just issued an update of what it refers to as the Global Carbon Budget. Adapted from Global Carbon Budget 2022, the Global Carbon Project insists that there still is some carbon budget left, even as global fossil fuel CO2 emissions in 2021 were higher than 2020, and are projected to be higher again in 2022 than 2021, as illustrated by the image on the right. Arctic News has long said that the suggestion of a carbon budget is part of a narrative that polluters seek to spread, i.e. that there was some budget left to be divided among polluters, as if polluters could safely continue to pollute for years to come before thresholds would be reached that could make life uncomfortable, such as a rise of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial. For starters, an earlier analysis warns that the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold may have been crossed long ago. The situation looks set to soon become even more catastrophic. The upcoming El Niño could make a difference of more than 0.5 degrees Celsius over the next few years. Additionally, there will be a growing impact of sunspots. Forecast to peak in July 2025. Arctic News has long warned about rising temperatures, not only due to high greenhouse gas levels, but also due to a number of events and developments including a rise of up to 1.6 degrees Celsius due to loss of Arctic sea ice and permafrost, and associated changes, a rise of up to 1.9 degrees Celsius due to a decrease in cooling aerosols, and a rise of up to 0.6 degrees Celsius due to an increase in warming aerosols and gases as a result of more biomass and waste burning and forest fires. More recent posts also warn that the rise could cause the cloud's tipping point at 1200 ppm CO2e to be crossed. Accordingly, the total temperature rise could be as high as 18.44 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial by 2026. Keep in mind that humans are likely to go extinct with a rise of 3 degrees Celsius, as discussed in an earlier post. Image from quotes, text from 2013 post, so, there is no carbon budget left. There is just a huge amount of carbon to be removed from the atmosphere and oceans, a debt that polluters would rather be forgotten or passed on to future generations. This debt has been growing since well before the Industrial Revolution started. Long ago, people should have started to reduce emissions and remove greenhouse gases, as well as take further action to improve the situation, and Arctic News has long said that comprehensive and effective action must be taken without delay. The Ipcc has betrayed the very scientific basis it was supposed to reflect. The Ipcc keeps insisting that there was a carbon budget, and this goes hand in hand with peddling the notion that the temperature rise was still less than 1.5 degrees Celsius. As discussed in an earlier analysis, the temperature has been rising for thousands of years and may have crossed the 1.5 degrees Celsius mark long ago. Furthermore, the Paris Agreement instructs the Ipcc to specify pathways to limit the rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. In its arrogance, the Ipcc on the one hand keeps insisting that 1.5 degrees Celsius has not been crossed, while on the other hand bluntly refusing to specify credible pathways to keep it that way. The untenability of this attitude is illustrated by a recent UN news release Climate Change, No Credible Pathway to 1.5 C Limit, UNEP warns. Finally, many studies point at ways improvements could be facilitated, such as by support for solar panels, wind turbines, heat pumps, biochar, vegan organic food, air taxis, etc. This analysis and this earlier post agree and also conclude that local feebates work best and that it is preferable for decision-making regarding their implementation to be delegated to local communities. The Ipcc on the one hand refuses to contemplate policy instruments, yet on the other hand it keeps peddling pet projects pushed by polluters, such as cap and trade, nuclear power, bioenergy, and BECCS, bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, as illustrated by the image below. Ipcc keeps peddling pet projects pushed by polluters. Conclusions: the situation is dire and the right thing to do now is to help avoid or delay the worst from happening, through action as described in the climate plan and at the recent post-transforming society. Links: global carbon